Solve the number stories using pictures or equations. We have 5 bananas in one bunch. Each banana weighs 2/3 of a pound. How much do the bananas weigh together? I have to write an equation with an unknown and find the answer. All right, so I like to start fraction things with a picture. I know that I have a banana that weighs 2/3 of a pound. More, I know that I have 5 bananas in a bunch. So each one of these is 2/3. One, two, three, four, five. Good. So I can do this 2 different ways. I can either add them all together, 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3, or I can see how many that I have and multiply. I think I'm going to multiply on this one, and I'm going to write for my equation 5 times 2/3 equals, let's call it my bunch of bananas. Okay, so 5 times 2/3. When I do this, I know that I'm just multiplying the numerator. 5 times 2 is 10, so I have 10 thirds, 10/3 pounds, LBS, equals my bunch. If I didn't like that as a improper fraction, I could also convert it. So I know that I can get 3 whole pounds, which will get me 9. So I can get 9 and 1/3 left over. No, I'm sorry. 3 and 1/3 pounds of bananas. Okay, and I got that by going 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 more to equal the 10/3. All right, final answer. How much do they weigh? 3 and 1/3 pounds. When I am finding multiples of a fraction, I'm counting the number of them. So I have 1/6, 2/6. The next would be 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, 6/6, and 7/6. Okay. If I'm looking at a fraction, I am 6/3 is a multiple of the unit fraction. My unit fraction is this right here. It's the thing that I'm having multiples of. So I have 6 is what I'm finding for this top one. Here, I'm not doing 6th anymore. I'm doing thirds. So 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. Here, I have 6/3. So my unit fraction would be 1/3. That's what I have multiples of. I have a bunch of thirds. How many thirds do I have? I have 6/3. So that's the unit fraction that I'm talking about. It's the single piece that I have multiples of. Last one, 11/6 equals 11 times what? Well, 11/6. So I have 1/6 is my 6th. I have a 6th, or I have 1/6. Here I have 11/6. So I have 11 of these. 11 times 1/6 equals 11/6. All right, I have some conversions I need to do. I'm converting gallons to quarts, quarts to pints, pints to cups, and so on. So I'm going to, because I have trouble remembering the conversion chart, I'm going to make my big thing. I have 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. And inside of each quart, I have 2 pints. And inside of each pint is 2 cups. Well, I can't really draw that one. All right, so to put that into words, I have 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. 1 quart equals 2 pints. 1 pint equals 2 cups. And I think those are the only conversions that I actually have to know in order to do this. So if I'm going from gallons to quarts, I have to do times 4 to find it. So 6 times 4 is 24 quarts. If I'm going from quarts to pints, I have to do times 2. So here, times 2, 4 times 2 is 8 pints. If I'm going from quarts to pints, again, times 2. 8 times 2 is 16. Pints to cups. I know 1 pint is 2 cups, so again, it's times 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Pints to cups, again, times 2. So 11 times 2 is 20. 2 cups in 11 pints. Kosel's recipe calls for 3 pints of cream. He had 2 quarts of cream and gave 2 pints away. Does he have enough cream for this recipe? All right, so I know he needs 3 pints of cream. He has 2 quarts, so I have to figure out how many quarts there are in 2 pints. All right, so in order to do this conversion, I have to remember from my very last one that 1 quart is 2 pints. So 1Q equals 2P. So in order to go from quarts to pints, I double it. Okay, so 2 quarts is then going to equal 4 pints. If he had 2 pints and he gave away, if he had 4 pints and he gave away 2 pints, 4 pints minus 2 pints equals 2 pints. Does he have enough cream for his recipe? No. How many pints of cream does he have? He has 2 pints. All right, solve the number story and show how you solve the problem. Melissa needs to make muffins for the school bake sale. Each box of muffin mix costs 65 cents. If she buys 8 or more boxes, they only cost 58 cents each. If Melissa decides to buy 9 boxes, how much will she spend? All right, so each box of muffin mix, 8 or more boxes. She bought more than 8 boxes, so this information here is not needed. If she buys 8 or more boxes, then they only cost 58 cents. So this could be 2 ways. I'm not sure how they meant the problem. I'm going to say they all cost only 58 cents because it reads that way. If she buys 8 or more, they only cost 58 cents. So she buys a lot of them, they only cost 58 cents each. She's buying 9. So I have to do 9 times 58 cents. All right. What I'm going to do is multiply 9 times 58, and then I'm going to convert that back. So I'll figure out how much it is in cents first, and then I'll convert it back to dollars. So to do 9 times 58 cents, I'm just going to rewrite that a little bit like 58 cents. Boom. Easily solving this problem. All right, I'm going to do 9 times 58. 9 times 50, my base fact is 9 times 5 is 45. attach that extra 0. 9 times 8 is 72. And I have to do 450 plus 72. 50 plus 72. 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 4 plus 1 is 5. 522 cents. If I convert that into dollars, it would be $5.22. Final answer, how much she's going to spend. Paige and Neum bought shirts at 2 different stores. At Tees for Me, they each bought 7 shirts. Together, they spent $294 at Tees for Me. At Just Shirts, they each bought 8 shirts. Together, they spent $288 at Just Shirts. In which store did the shirt cost the most? How much more did each shirt cost? First, I have to estimate and then tell how much more these shirts cost. So I'm going to do my estimate first. 294 divided by 7. I don't know. I'm going to pick something, a multiple of 7 that's close to it, which is 280. If I have 280 divided by 7, the shirts are about $40 each. They're going to be a little bit more. That is for Tees for Me. At Just Shirts will be 288 divided by 8. There really isn't a good multiple. I can go up and go to 32, 320, or I can go down to 240. That really looks like about halfway between the two. So if they cost $30, they would spend 240. If they spent $40, it would be 320. So it looks like it's about halfway. So I'm going to go with 240 divided by 8 equals 30. Because it works out that way. I know it's going to be less than $40 each. So the shirts cost more at Tees for Me than Just Shirts, just based on my estimate. Let's figure out exactly how much that is. 294 divided by 7. All right, into 290, if I have $40, 40 times 7 gives me $280, leaves me with 14. I'm going to spend another $2 to get that. 2 times 7 is 14, leaves me with a 0, and I get $42 is the cost of a t-shirt at Tees for Me. Okay, if I have $288 divided by 8, I know 8 times 30 gets me to 240, leaves me with $48 still to spend, which can be $6 more. 6 times 8 is 48, nothing left over. They cost $36 at Just Shirts. Okay, which one costs more? Tees for Me. How much more? All right, 42 minus 36. I just have to find the difference. I'm going to count up to do this one because they're kind of close together. I know 36 plus 4 gets me to 40, plus another 2 gets me to 42. So 36 plus 4, 2 plus $6. The shirts cost more at Tees for Me. They are $6 more. Final answer. Read the number story. Use the information to write an equation and solve the problem below. Lula is making bracelets for her 3 aunts. Each bracelet needs to be 7 inches long. Lula has 2 feet of jewelry chain. Will she have any leftover jewelry chain? If so, how much? So I have my equation, and then we need to solve. So I know that she has 2 feet of jewelry chain. First, I have to convert that into inches in order to do it. 1 foot equals 12 inches. So 2 feet equals 24 inches. All right, so she has 24 inches worth of chain. If I'm going to write this in my equation, I can put that in there, or I can just start with 24. I'm going to put it as what I did first to do convert. So I'm going to do 2 times 12 as the start of my equation. You could also just write 24 at that point because the conversion isn't necessarily part of that equation. The second thing I have to figure out is how much chain I'm going to be using. When I'm using it, I'm going to subtract. So I want to subtract the entire amount that she uses. That's going to be 3 for her 3 aunts times 7 inches of chain. So if I have 24 inches worth of chain, I have 24 inches worth of chain, and I take away what she used, I will get my final answer, how much chain I have left over, and I'll call it L for leftover. All right, let's solve. If I go through and I do this first part, 2 times 12 is 24. I'm going to do the second part inside the parentheses first. 3 times 7 is 21. I get L. 24 minus 21 is 3. My final answer is, will she have any leftover jewelry chain? Yes. How much? 3 inches. There we go. If a banana weighs 1/2 of a pound, what is the weight of 3 bananas? Well, I'm going to do 3 times 1/2, which is going to get me 3 halves. So I'm going to get 3 halves is equal to 1 whole banana and 1/2 of another banana pounds. 1.5 lbs is the short weight to the shortcut for writing pounds. Fun fact, it comes from the Greek libras, which means a scale, which is why lbs means pounds. So just in case you're wondering. How many ounces is that? I know that there are 16 ounces in 1 pound, so I have to do 16 times 1 and 1/2. How do I figure that out? Well, I know I have, on this one, I have a whole 16, and then I have half of a 16. So my whole is 16. What is half of a 16? Well, I know that half of a 16 is 8. So if I have a whole and a half, I'm going to add them together. 16 plus 8 equals 24 ounces. 24 ounces is 1.5 pounds of bananas. For 12 days, Carla kept track of how much of each loaf of banana bread she sold at a bakery. Each loaf had 6 slices. She recorded each sale to the nearest 1/6 of a loaf. Here are her results. And they gave them right here. I'm not going to read all of those. But bunch of fractions, all with the denominator. They're all in 1/6 for the unit fraction. So what we have to do is complete a line plot based on this, including a title, a label. We're going to put our fractions here, and we're going to put our x's along here to do it. I'm going to set this up so you don't have to watch me do it all, but I'm going to call my title, let's call it Loaves of Banana Bread, or Bread Sold at a Bakery. Bread sold at a bakery. And then for my label, I'll put fraction of a loaf. And then finally, in order to get our scale, I want to take a look at what my lowest fraction is of a loaf and what my highest fraction is of a loaf. And my lowest is pretty easy. I have a 0 here. And then my highest, 1 2/6, 1 1/6, 1 3/6, looks like my lowest. I'm sorry, my highest. So what I'll do here is I'm going to start with 0 at my lowest, and then I'm going to go up by units of 1/6. So 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, and so on. And you'll notice that right here, I did, instead of 6/6, I did 1 whole loaf and then continued on 1 1/6, 1 2/6, 1 3/6. So what I'll do here is I'm going to go up to my very first fraction of a loaf sold, which was 3/6, and I'm going to put an X above 3/6 on my graph. For the 0, I'm going to do the same thing, put an X above it. And I'll cross it off up here and put an X down below on my graph as I go. This lets me keep track of which ones that I've done. 1 1/6, 4/6, 1/6, 5/6, another 5/6, 1 1/6, and 1 3/6. So now you can see I have 0, or I have 1 0 loaves, 1 1/6, 1 no 2/6, and kind of so on through. So my question I have to use this is, how many days did she sell 3/6 of a loaf? And taking a look right here, I can see that she sold that much on 2 days. So last part, how much of a loaf is this altogether? Well, I have 3/6 on one day and another 3/6 on another day would give me 6/6, or 1 whole loaf. There we go, final answer.